As a filmmaker, what editing software do I use to edit my videos? Okay, let's break it down here. So a friend asked a question that as a filmmaker, beginner, intermediate, what kind of software is appropriate or is best for you to use in editing? Well, in my honest opinion, I don't use a single software in doing my editing. So for me, I've broken it down into what each software handles best. For color grading, my number one pick would be DaVinci Resolve. You can use DaVinci Resolve to do other editing whatsoever, but for the best in terms of color grading, DaVinci Resolve is more like Photoshop of videos. I mean, the kind of things that you can do with DaVinci Resolve, trust me, it will blow your mind. Yes, there are other petty things that other software like Adobe Premiere Pro or Final Cut on Apple can do, but the kind of advanced tech that DaVinci Resolve possesses, trust me, for color grading, my number one pick will be DaVinci Resolve. Then there are two other softwares. We have Premiere Pro, which is most popular, and I know it's popular because you can find it for all Windows machines, so you can use it. And Final Cut. Final Cut is basically Apple product, so it works only on Apple machines. That's kind of the sad part. But Final Cut is also very good. So when it comes to the other editing, we have Final Cut and Premiere Pro. I use both depending on the kind of project that I'm working on. If I'm working on long format documentaries, that takes a lot of cuts, needs a whole lot of work. I use Premiere Pro, but if it's, let's say, small videos that I need to run it fast for clients, I use Final Cut. Because in terms of even exporting, when you are doing exporting on Final Cut, it's really fast and it doesn't require too much of a tech person to be able to use. Premiere Pro is advanced, so the learning curve is really steep, but for Final Cut is easy going. It's more like using CapCut but on advanced level. So for that, we have Premiere Pro and Final Cut. Then for industry, we have Avid Media Composer, and trust me, I'm still learning Avid. It's not easy. It's not easy. I will be honest with you. Even I'm struggling in terms of the learning curve because it has so many stuff that you really need to understand. So if you want that upper tier, yes, it's Avid, which is industry standard that you use. So color grading, number one, DaVinci Resolve. Even now, DaVinci Resolve has a photo feature that you can even edit photos. I mean, I love DaVinci Resolve. I can't lie. I love DaVinci Resolve, mainly color grading, because it was, I think the main idea they built DaVinci Resolve was for color grading. There's no two ways about it. It's number one. You can check everywhere. DaVinci Resolve is just a top tier. So for color grading, DaVinci Resolve. Then Premiere Pro, because Premiere Pro also runs on Mac and Windows, so Premiere Pro is also there. I won't put Premiere Pro number 2. I will put Premiere Pro and Final Cut at number 2, because for me, Final Cut gives me a lot of room, although it's kind of limited to certain degrees, but they are progressing in terms of upgrading their stuff. I mean, it has a whole lot of tools that you can use, but it has its own limitations, as well as Premiere Pro also does. But I'll pay it because I use them concurrently. Even one project, I will work on Premiere Pro, but when it comes to text, animations and all that, I'll go to Final Cut and do it. Just like you go to After Effects and do some animations, you can easily do it on Final Cut. So if I want something quick, I just jump to Final Cut and do it over there, then export it to Premiere Pro, then progress with the work. So if you're asking me the kind of software that I use, this is what I have for you. But for beginners, if you want to learn, I will advise you to start with DaVinci Resolve. Not because because of color grading, not worse about it. But even when it comes to the editing parts, the cuts and all that, it's so simple. It's so simple to understand. Somebody will say, what about Premiere Pro because it's been taught in schools? Yes, Premiere Pro is good, but for beginners, I'll beg you, just start with DaVinci Resolve. At least it gives you best of both worlds, because if you don't take care, Premiere Pro, in my honest opinion, is more advanced, so you get so caught up in that bubble that you miss certain things. Yes, start with DaVinci Resolve, get around with it because it's much more easier to work around it. Then you probably will go to Premiere Pro. I'm not putting Final Cut in there because it's not widely available to everybody, but if you're a Mac user, the first one is Final Cut. If you're using Mac, I would advise you to use Final Cut as your first editing software that you want to learn. Start with that. If you're a Windows user, start with DaVinci Resolve, then you progress to Premiere Pro. So that's my 2 cents on it. And as I always say here, we don't do any gatekeeping, so please take it from me. DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro here, Final Cut here, then maybe Avid later. Until then, shalom, peace, and catch you next time.